At night time here, there's always hedgehogs that come on the garden. I'll be like laid in bed or sat in the living room playing the PS5 and the porch light comes on and I jump up to the window and it's usually just a fat little hedgehog. And for the past like week, it's not rained at all. It's been very hot, been very dry, but we've had no rain, not a drop of rain for over a week. So I like to leave little dishes of water out for the hedgehogs just so that just so I can make sure they've got something to drink. And normally I wouldn't be crouching like this because I'd be squatting in mud. But as you can see, there's a whole different situation going on out here now. Let me give you a closer look. So you might remember, because I mentioned it in previous videos before, something that I've been very keen to get done for quite a while is get all this patio area sorted. In the last video that I showed you, and previous ones as well, you will have seen that it was all muddy and I was constantly walking dirt and muck inside the studio every time I went in there, and it was a nightmare, and I was very eager to get it sorted, like I said. And one of the things that were good about having no rain for like over a week is that we was able to get this sorted. And I say we, but it wasn't actually me that did it. Me and my friend Judd helped on it a bit, but it was all my dad. My dad did all of this. My dad is the guy that can lay patio and things, so we just did some barreling and shoveling and that kind of thing, but my dad is the guy that did all of it. I didn't get any footage of us working on it at the time. I was working on the Toe Jam and Earl and the Zul figures. You might have even seen a little tiny Easter egg in that video when I was outside here spraying the Zul figure, but because it wasn't really me doing it, it was all my dad. I didn't film it. I cracked on with my job, he got on with his, and yeah, it took just over a week to get it all sorted. So the only thing that we've got to do now is clad all the front of this building, which again I'm really looking forward to because that's something that'll make this feel like it's fully finished. And then I've got something really cool to hang on the front of it, which I've not shown in a video yet, but if you've got me on Instagram, I did show a little preview of that on there. I say a preview, I showed the whole thing, but yeah, that's going to have something really cool hung on this wall as well. Yeah, hopefully all happening in the next few weeks. Oh no, I've kicked over the hedgehog's water. So while past Theo gets to cleaning that up, I'm going to let you know a little bit about what to expect in today's episode. I've had some really cool parcels turn up, I've been getting a bit creative, and I've also had some stuff hand delivered by a friend who just came back from Hong Kong. So if that sounds like a bit of you, sit back, make sure you're comfy, and get yourself strapped in for a brand new episode of Slimehouse TV. So that's everything that's going on outside of the studio, but there's still a couple of jobs that need doing inside this building. And not a lot, we're kind of at the end of it now, but as I mentioned in the last episode, I still want to get a lot of shelves on this wall so that I can display all of the toys that I've been making over the last few months. Something else that needs doing is I need to get the lights around the perimeter of the ceiling in this room. I talked about this on a video before when we were putting up these strips. There's this white opaque strip that goes over this channel and you feed a light through it. It took me a while to get those lights, but I've now got them courtesy of Kev. Now, just looking at this box and just looking at the photos that he sent me on how to put these things together, it is way over my head. Like, I can do simple lighting, wiring and things, but this is just a little bit too technical for me, so I need one of my friends to come round. I've got a couple of different friends that would be able to do it, but I need one of them to be free so they can come and help me put them together. So the way that these work is there's a receiver and a server and all this stuff that's got to go up inside the hatch that's in the ceiling, and then you have these long strips of lights that run for 5 meters and then have to go back to the receiver. So it's not one continuous strip that goes around the perimeter of the room, it's 3 separate 5-meter strips. So I'll have 5 meters that way, 5 meters that way, and then 5 meters that starts like in that corner and then feeds round, and then I've got to drill a hole through the wall and feed a cable back up into the ceiling somehow. So it's just something that's a little bit too technical for me to do on my own. I'm not that confident. I want someone here that can help me do it that's a little bit more well-rounded with that technology. And like I said, I do have a couple of friends, a couple of options, but they're all so busy at the minute. Everyone's so busy, myself included. Look how tired I am. I've barely slept. Like, I'm so burnt out at the minute. So yeah, at some point my friends can come round, help me do the shelves, help me do the lighting, and then this room is pretty much finished. So as well as having lights and cables and servers delivered and that kind of thing, I've also had some cool toys delivered to me as well. I've had some delivered and I've also had some dropped off in person, but I'm going to get to the ones first of all that were posted to me because there's some really cool stuff in here, and I'm looking forward to showing you what it is. So this first one came from my boy Forgotten Starship. He saw my NEC toy hunting video and he saw that I picked one of these up in the box, and he hit me up and he said, I've got a couple of those loose if you want them for your collection. And I was like, hell yeah, because I want to do a little spotlight on these toys at some point. There's only 4 in the set. I've got one of them boxed and now I've got one of them loose and another one loose that I didn't have, but I'll show you what they are because these are really nice figures. Also, these are like kind of following in the tradition of the toys that I've been making in the last video, because these are like toys from a pretty obscure game that I feel doesn't get enough love. God, I need to sharpen this knife. It's super blunt. It looks very intimidating, but this thing is like a butter knife. Okay, so I've got in here a couple of toys from a little cool arcade shooter survival horror game called House of the Dead. So I really, really like these figures. As I said, I did get one of them boxed at the NEC, this guy. But I haven't actually held these in my hands loose for many, many years. And what was also cool is these are the two that I had when I was growing up. I don't know what happened to this one that I had. I think I sold it in the vintage centre because he was a bit busted up and stuff, a vintage centre that I used to work at. And then this guy, I remember, I customised him and turned him into a Hulk villain called, what was his name? Madman, is it Madman? I think he's called Madman, the Hulk villain. I was playing the Hulk video game at the time on the Xbox, the original Xbox, and I liked the villain in it, Madman, so I got this guy and took his head off and sculpted him a new head and turned him into the villain Madman. So there is a couple of tiny little pieces broken on these, and I might still have in like my boxes of bits and stuff the chainsaw for this guy. I remember that he has this lever along the top, this handle, and mine snapped off as well back in the day. So I do have to repair his little handle, which isn't a problem. That's just a little 3D printing job. I can do that in a couple of minutes. That's not a problem at all. And the trident is also snapped, but all I've got to do is put that in there and glue it. And these are two parts that actually snapped on the original toys that I had. So I think these are just prone to it. It's really cool that he has his little piranha fish as well, because that would obviously normally be missing. That's like a little minifigure that would be missing with the figure. And then they both have the stands. So these are two really nice figures, and like I said, there's only 4 in the set. There's the zombie with the hatchet hands, and then there's the dude with the metal mask and the 2 big metal claw hands. So once I've got those two, either boxed or loose, I'll have a full set, and I can do a cool little spotlight video on them and really talk about why I think these figures are so special. So again, big ups to the Forgotten Starship for sending me them. I really do appreciate it. He sent me cool stuff in the past, and he's a guy that whenever he hits me up to send me something, it's always something awesome. So I can't tell you who sent me this without giving away what it is, because his name is actually a big spoiler as to what's in this box. But you'll see in a minute. This is very awesome, and also something that I was very honoured to be given, because yeah, I'll tell you in a minute. This knife is buggered, man. So this is really special because not only do I not have any of this in my collection, anything from this IP in my collection really, I've got a couple of loose pieces, some of the minifigures and some of the big creatures and stuff like that, but I certainly don't have anything boxed. And in the last few years, these have gone up crazy in price. And this is one of my friend's favourite pieces from his collection. Recently, he started selling all his collection due to some circumstances, and this is something that he didn't want to sell, he wanted to send to me. And I was like, dude, are you sure? I know that's like a high-end piece. And he says, yeah, I don't want to sell it. I want it to go into the collection of someone who I know is going to appreciate it. And this particular thing is from a part of the world that I've got a real affinity for. So yeah, that's the reason why he wanted to send it me. So this came from my very, very good friend, not just someone that I'm associated with. This is a guy who's like my brother. This came from Dino Riders UK. So you might have seen Dino Riders UK in some of my videos. Gareth, he's a very good friend of mine, as I said. Now obviously, as I said, I don't have any boxed Dino Riders in my collection, and not only that, this is a Japanese variant, and obviously you know that I love Japan, he knows that I love Japan, so he wanted to send this to me. So this is something that I think it has been opened, so I could get it out of the box and get some better photos of it, which I'm not going to today. I'm just going to have a look at it as it is. But this is an absolute beautiful piece. This is like a real prize piece of anybody's Dino Riders collection. So this is the Raptor, comes with a little rule-on, and he's got the brain box technology and the guns that fit on his side and the saddle and all that kind of thing. And oh, and it also comes with the little rock thing as well. So this is like a little rock trap that is like 2 pieces of rock, and then the Raptor goes forward and then it slams on his neck, and then the Rulons can brain box it so that they can ride around in it. They're not like the Valorians with the little thing around the neck when they can just talk to dinosaurs using telepathy. The Rulons have to brain box them and do it a lot more brutally. So absolutely beautiful piece, and it's one that I certainly won't ever be selling, because this is, as I said, a real prize piece, and it's such an honor that he wanted to send it to me. And yeah, I'm really grateful for it. This is also something really cool. My friend Jen gave me this. So Jen is not only a very good friend of mine, she's the person that drove me down to the UK Games Expo. She's also the lead actress in my movie that I'm currently making, that I need to get finished, Wendy and the Wendigo. She's my main actress in that movie, and obviously now, because we're friends, when she sees things in charity shops, she hits me up like, do you want this? And I think it was like £10-20 or something like that, dirt cheap for what's in it. And this is like a Warhammer starter set where you get some Age of Sigmar stuff and you get some 40k stuff inside. And you might have seen this many times if you're into Warhammer. It's the kind of thing that you see in the shops and stuff, but they're usually over like £40, £50, that kind of thing. So it was an absolute steal. So you've got some paperwork in there, but you also get 2 sets of figures in there. You get a bunch of Ultramarines, Primaris Ultramarines, and you get some Necrons as well. How many did you get in here? 2, 4, 6, 8. 11 Necrons, 2, 4, 6, 6 Ultramarines. You get a load of those little things that are like the Necron equivalent of Nurglings, the little scarab bugs. You get dice. It looks like you even get some kind of cardboard fold-out terrain in there. So it's got everything that you would want if you wanted to like have a little skirmish game. It's also got inside here a Dreadnought. What do they call them these days? A Redemptor Dreadnought. Not my favourite style of Dreadnought. As you know, I love the old school Dreadnought the most, but I don't have one of these new Dreadnoughts. So this is going to be really nice to put together and have on display and see what it's like to paint some of the newer Warhammer, because I've done very little of that. All unopened as well, look at that, still sealed. And then there's also a paint set in there as well with some Stormcast. Absolute bargain. I'm going to have a look how much she paid for it. She told me. I don't even think it were 20 quid. Let's have a look, because I asked her on WhatsApp how much she paid for it. 15 quid she paid for it, absolute bargain. 15 quid for all those Necrons, all those Primaris Marines, those paints, the Stormcast, and of course, the Redemptor Dreadnought. So yeah, absolute bargain. Don't know when I'll get around to painting these or playing it or whatever, but the fact that there's like a whole little set of 2 armies in there with the rule set and things, it means that I can have a nice skirmish game. When I want to introduce someone to Warhammer, try and get somebody hooked so that I've got somebody to play with. I'm only joking, I've got loads of people that I can play it with, I just never have time to do it. Speaking of wargaming as well, these are a couple of pieces that I picked up from the UK Games Expo, and you might have seen them in this video, but there's something here that I didn't show in that video. So first of all, I want to show these guys, the Maverick Cops. I picked these up from Crooked Dice. You don't know that I love Crooked Dice, and it was cool to go to that event and actually talk to the people that run it and find out a little bit about how they're made and the spin casting and the fact that they're all made in England and that kind of thing. So what I've got here are basically Riggs and Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon, a movie series that I absolutely love. I love those movies, and again, ones that you don't really see get too much merchandise. There's no NECA figure of Riggs and Murtaugh or anything like that, so the fact that these made some miniatures of them, I had to go in, I had to support that, I had to get involved. And then I also got Snake Plissken, who is called Cynical Escapologist. Now, something I did notice about this figure when I got him up close is that his face looks like it's not been moulded properly. It's kind of like warped in the cast. So the next time I see him, I might ask if I can swap that, just because I'm not a confident enough painter to be able to paint that and make it look right. If he's got like a seam down his face, a line, then I might struggle. But it might just be the lighting, I don't know. I'm pretty sure though that it's got a bit of a warped face. But I'm sure they'll change it. They have hundreds of these and they're very, very good company. And then also, I got this guy from a company called Modiphius Entertainment. So this is from a new game that they're putting out called Cohors Cthulu. I believe that's what it's called. I'll put the link to it down in the description. But it's kind of like the Roman Empire versus Cthulhu monsters, which is like awesome. Like, I saw a few people saying, oh, that's pretty random, but it works. I don't think it's random. I think that's perfect. So I know Retro Ghetto would also love that as well, because I know he loves the Roman Empire. But this is like a cool figure. The guy came up who was like working the stand and gave one to me and one to Bill Making Stuff. We both got one of these. So that's an awesome little piece that I'm going to look forward to painting as well. I know I go on a lot about how I love the metal minifigures when I go to these events, but that doesn't mean that I don't love the resin and the plastic ones as well. This is absolutely beautiful, and I'm looking forward to painting this thing. This company as well, Modiphius, they're also the company that put out the Skyrim minifigures and the Fallout game as well. So yeah, they're big in the game. Talking a little bit more about wargaming and Warhammer again, my boy Dave Blade come round the other day. He'd been to the Bolton Toy Fair and he called here on the way home and he brought me this. So if you know me, you know that I love Warhammer, but I especially love Oldhammer. And I've never been a dude that's like big into dwarfs. I've never collected a dwarf army or anything like that, but I love these old sets. When you get like a bunch of figures, all that are kind of the same, in the same position and stuff, like a whole unit in these old school boxes, I really, really like them. I've got a bunch over there on my little display shelf, and I'm trying to kind of get one of every single army. So I was buzzing when he came through with this, and I showed it to Bill Making Stuff, and he says, I really want one of those dwarfs, so I'm going to get a dwarf and send it to Bill. But the prize piece that was actually in here is not even a dwarf. It is this guy, the Vindicare Assassin, who's like a classic model who I don't have. And this has actually been painted pretty nice as well. I'd only have to do a little bit of a touch up on that, and I've kind of got a full painted Oldhammer model there. So yeah, big ups to Dave Blade on this stuff and all my other friends that came through with these awesome gifts. I really do appreciate it. I don't have too many plans to go to too many toy fairs over the next few months. There's a lot of toy fairs, but I want to like work in the studio. For the past 6 months of this year, I've been at events, filming events and covering them for the channel. I'm looking forward to spending some time in the studio now and just enjoying the stuff that I've bought. But it just shows that even when I don't go to events, I'm still a guy that comes across so many toys without even trying. So yeah, man, the toy gods blessed me very good this week. Now I have added a few more really cool toys to the collection recently, but I'm going to get to them a little bit later because right now I want to show you something that turned up a couple of days ago, and it's something that if you've been watching any of my toy making videos over the last year or so, you'll probably agree is a long overdue addition to the studio.
Yes, that I do. Is such an iconic model that even in the...
So yeah, after messing around for longer than I care to remember and creating my own out of cardboard boxes, I finally decided to bite the bullet and buy myself a proper spray booth. So this wasn't gifted to me or anything like that, this isn't a sponsored video, I just bought this for myself. Although I have been in contact with the company that make it since I received it. I'll talk about that later on in the video though. It smells like new toys, just not the new toys that I'm used to. So there were lots of different options that I could go for when I was buying a spray booth, and I'll be honest, I don't know that much about them, but after doing a bit of research, I did find myself, for quite a few reasons actually, being drawn to this one in particular. One of the things that I really liked about this one as well specifically is that it had these translucent side panels. Some of them were a bit more opaque and like cloudy, but these are really clear, which means I can get shots through them like this. Buzzing with that. So as well as the transparent side panels that I knew would be good for filming and the LED lights, another feature that makes this spray booth really cool is that it actually comes with a built-in water curtain feature. This means that once it's filled up with water and turned on, any paint that you spray inside the booth gets instantly washed away, which means that it not only gets rid of way more of the little particles of paint than a regular one would, but it also helps with the cleanup time once you're finished as well, which is obviously always nice. Now I made a little bit of a schoolboy error with mine, because after watching some videos on YouTube, I found out that if you add a little bit of dish soap into the water, you can get way more of an even flow on the spray screen, but I put a little bit too much in mine, so once I turned the air filter on, it all started bubbling up and foaming. Once that had all died down a bit though, and I could see that everything were working properly, it was time to give it a test and actually try spraying something in it. Now I didn't have time to create a whole new toy just for this episode or anything like that, but to be honest I've got lots of things around my studio that I need to put together and paint up anyway. Model kits that I've bought on toy hunts and stuff, so I decided to use this as an opportunity to put together the Gale Force 9 Xenomorph minis that you might remember I picked up a couple of episodes back at the UK Games Expo. Before I could get them sprayed though, the first thing I had to do was cut them all off the sprue and get them ready to be assembled. So massive shouts again to Pez from Rubicon Models for sorting me out with a couple of pairs of these God Hand snippers, which honestly slice through these little plastic sprues like miniature katana blades. They're so precise and have now kinda made it impossible for me to ever go back and use anything other than these on miniature plastic sprues ever again. So once they were all snipped off the sprue and put into the correct piles, which I'm not gonna lie took me way longer than it should have because I'm convinced that my instructions were misprinted and labelled wrong. It might have also just been my dyslexia, but either way, I got out my plastic glue, which again was given to me courtesy of Pez from Rubicon, and I started getting them all stuck together. Pez also has his own channel as well, which I don't even think I knew about, but my friend Dan does talked about it in his latest video, so I'll link it down in the description below so you can go and check it out, because he's such a dope dude, he's so generous, he supports Slimehouse and all my friends loads, and it'd be awesome if you could go and give him a sub, drop him a like on a couple of his videos, I'd really appreciate it, and I'm sure that he would too. Now once I'd worked out which part of these Xenomorphs went with what, I had to make some slight adjustments to a few of their bases, because some of them had the names of what kind of soldier alien they were embossed on them, which I didn't need because I'm not using these to play the proper game, and I also had a really cool idea of how I wanted to paint these figures as well, which meant that I was going to be completely changing the look of these bases anyway. So after all that, I added a little bit of Warhammer Sterling Mud technical paint to the bases. This helped cover up the names that I'd shaved off some of them, and also hid some of the textured grid that they'd all come on as well, as currently all these bases look like they were running around on a spaceship, but the way that I planned on doing them is having them set on much more of an exterior looking terrain. So there's something that I've got to do that I'm a little bit uncomfortable with, but it's kind of part of the parcel of having a spray booth, and it's the fact that I've got to spray paint into this and that I'm probably going to ruin it. Well, not ruin it, but at the minute it looks really nice and clean and it's got all these nice transparent windows and things, and I'm about to start spraying a load of paint in there with an air gun, and more than likely, yeah, getting all this nice, tidy, clean thing that I've bought all messed up. But like I said, it is part of the parcel of having a spray booth. I'm gonna have to get spray on this little turntable, Lazy Susan and things, and all over it. So I'm just gonna try and keep the paint mess to a minimum, wipe up anything that goes all over these sides and stuff, and yeah, let's just go for it, yeah. So I'm going to start by hitting these aliens with a matte grey primer, and then we'll do the colour stuff after. But I just want to base them all first. And to be honest, this is what I use the airbrush for more than anything. Is just basing things, giving them a bit of a gradient and that kind of thing. So this will be a good test to see how well this thing works. Oh, I'll have to put my thingy on as well, my fan. So yeah, I started off by hitting them with a grey primer first of all, making sure that I got good coverage across all of them, and straight away I could see that the paint particles were getting washed away by the water. It was also nowhere near as messy as I thought it would be either, which was good, and right off the bat I could see that I definitely made a good decision by going for a spray booth with a built-in waterfall. So for the first lot of aliens, I'm going to be mixing a couple of too thin coats colours. I'm going to mix Doom Death Black with Marine Blue and get like a real nice dark alien looking blue. So once they were all primed, it was time to move on to some colour, and as I mentioned earlier, I had the perfect scheme in mind. So I'm a big fan of the 90s Dark Horse Alien and Predator comics. I grew up reading them, and one series that always stood out to me was one called Aliens Genocide. So this is a story about two warring hives of xenomorphs, one in the classic black colour and another army that are all like blood crimson red. So as soon as I saw this set at the UK Games Expo, and I saw that there was an even number of them inside a box, the little gears in my head started turning, and I instantly got the idea to paint them all up in an Aliens Genocide style. Now, rather than just paint the first 6 all straight black, as another nod to the comics, my friend Respect BA suggested that I should do them in more of a dark blue colour, and I love that idea, so I went with that. This is often how they were coloured in them old comics, and it also gave me some big 90s Kenner Alien action figure vibes as well, which you know I'm always down for. So for the red xenomorphs, I'm going to go for some too thin coats Sword Hilt Burgundy. I want these to be quite vibrant red, but I figured this would be a nice base colour. If I spray them all with this and then dry brush like lighter colours on after and do a bit of highlighting and stuff, that should look pretty nice. So once all the classic aliens were based, it was time to move on to the remaining 6 red ones, which as I just mentioned, I chose to base in a dark burgundy colour. So I was using too thin coats for these, which you might have seen in my last episode I got sent a whole set of, and I'm really enjoying using them. Now these are not actually airbrush paints, but once they're mixed with a bit of thinner, they work just as good as, and once I'd finished covering all 12 of the minis with them, they were all looking real nice, and I was very confident that not only were they going to be a really good base to paint on top of, but also the airbrush booth was everything that I needed it to be. So I think it's safe to say, in terms of the spray booth, it's something that I'm very happy with. It's definitely worth spending the extra few quid on one that had the waterfall system inside it. It was a very quick cleanup, and as you know, at the start when I was spray painting it, I was a bit apprehensive about getting it all dirty, but it cleaned up really nice and pretty much looks just as good as new again. I know I've only sprayed something in it that was small, but that was just a test, and now I'm confident after doing that I'll be able to spray something in here that's bigger, and I won't have to worry about it all getting dirty like I initially was. So yeah, very, very pleased with it. So this is a model called the SB05, I believe, from a company called Bart Sharp, who I'm pretty confident are a British company. I don't know for sure, but I did get speaking to him after it arrived, and it seems like they are a British company. Also, this arrived really quick. I got it off Amazon, but you can buy it from their website directly. And when this arrived, I didn't actually get this on camera, but being completely transparent, there was actually something wrong with it. So these are little adjustable feet, and this thing sits on a few of these, and the reason you have these is because there's a water level inside. You want that water to be coming down this sheet here at the front nice and straight and level, and in order to do that you have to set these little feet a bit like a washing machine or something. Now basically when it arrived, one of these feet was warped and it wouldn't turn, so in order for me to turn it I had to get some pliers on it, some grips, and really give it a good turn, and it kind of chewed this foot up a little bit. Now it looked to me like the leg was warped, but it could have also been the water tank. I wasn't sure, but either way it wasn't turning and I had to get pliers on it and kind of ruin the leg. So I just hit up Bart Sharp and said, look, this arrived, it had a little bit of a defect with it. I've managed to get it working, but I was a little bit disappointed, and I just wanted to let them know that when it arrived it was warped. And they were really cool about it. They got back to me straight away, and not only did they send me a brand new foot for it, they also sent me a whole bottom basin. So just in case it wasn't the foot that was warped, it was the whole basin area, they sent me a whole new replacement one, which is awesome. So I've now got a nice replacement. So shouts to Bart Sharp, that was very kind of him, and after talking to him for a little bit, we might even be doing something in the future. Maybe I'll review some of their products in the future and that kind of thing, which would be awesome, because as you know, if it's a product that I'm going to use here in the studio, then I'm more than happy to take a look at it. So overall, very happy with this spray booth, and not just with the actual booth itself and how it operates, but also with the aftercare and the customer service, which to me is very important. Like I said, I got in touch with these guys and they were sending me out replacement parts within just a few days, and they arrived like very promptly. So big shouts to Bart Sharp. Hopefully do some stuff with them in the future, and Obviously, I'll be doing lots of stuff with the actual spray booth in the future. I can't wait to not be using a cardboard box anymore. This is going to change everything in this studio, an absolute game changer, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that seemed like a pretty good initial test of the new spray booth, but now I was left with a dozen half-finished, half-painted Xenomorph minis to deal with. So for speed, I decided to just go with a classic dry brushing technique on them. Something that I told myself when I bought these is that I wasn't going to spend too long painting them up, and it was actually one of the main things that drew me towards them, the fact that I could probably get the whole unit done in one sitting. I didn't want to spend hours and hours on these, picking out all the little individual highlights like I normally try and do when I'm painting wargaming miniatures, and with these being Xenomorphs, I really didn't feel like they needed it, and I could get most of the paint jobs done and make them look well by just using more simple mass army painting techniques. I also added a couple of thin down washes to them as well, using a Carroburg Crimson shade from Citadel on the red Xenomorphs and a 2 thin coats Oblivion black wash on the blue ones, which just helped tie everything together. And after adding a bit more dry brushing on top of that and doing a few little touch-ups on the claws and the teeth, it was then off to get them all based. So for this, I used some pre-made Geek Gaming Scenics basing material that, again, I need to thank Pez for at Rubicon Models, because as I said, the bases on these all look like an interior spaceship floor, and with these being Aliens Genocide themed, I wanted it to look a lot more like they were running along some barren alien planet.
Ambitious Bolivia liver, grime it all up. Might as well go all in, with the grime.
Okay, so here they are. My finished Dark Horse Comics Aliens Genocide themed wargaming Xenomorph miniatures. And as you can maybe see, they're actually all stuck to this little tray. Basically, I put a little magnet onto the base of all these, and this is one of the trays from the little Jacosi Wargaming storage case that I got sent a couple of months back, so this is just a nice way of keeping them all protected and me knowing where they all are. Also, you might be able to see that I painted all the bases on these guys. I gave them like a coat of brown and then dry brushed some oranges and some lighter colours, just making it look kind of like the surface of Mars or something like that. And then I dry brushed that colour a little bit up their feet and their ankles and stuff, just so it looked like they'd been running along some kind of dusty terrain. Now, as I said, I bought these with the intention of just giving them a quick paint job, and that's what I did. The more that I look at them, the more I kind of do feel like I would have liked to have spent a little bit longer on them, just picking out some of the rib cages and the tails and stuff like that, and some of the bones along their head. But like I said, I bought these not wanting to spend a long time on them, so I didn't. But overall, I am pretty happy with them, and it's nice to experiment with some more like army painting techniques, because I've never really done like mass painting of anything like that. I've only ever spent like days and days on one miniature. One thing I do really like about these though is when I had them all laid out in their different colours, I kind of thought there's got to be some kind of skirmish game in there with 2 warring hives of aliens. Maybe you could have like another 6 on each team, like a queen, a couple of eggs, maybe a couple of tank kind of characters, and it's like the first one to destroy the other person's hive, a bit like Capture the Flag or Red versus Blue or something like that. There's got to be a game in there. I'm not about to try and create that game, but maybe one of you who watches this knows a game like that, a gaming system that would work for these. Let me know down in the comments below. But having these all painted up like this now has definitely given me the impetus to maybe like get a couple of the queens that the GF9 do, because these miniatures are really cheap. I said that when I did the UK Games Expo video. Like I said, maybe get a couple of queens, a couple of egg sacs, and then like work out a little game system so I can, yeah, have a little war game with these. Let's see. Watch this space. So one last thing that I want to show you before we wrap this video up today, well, it's actually more than one thing, it's a couple of things. But basically, I've got a friend called Alan and another friend Hunter that myself and Bentlegs and Tony know through the toy fairs. Tony also knows them from outside the toy fairs as well, but they are local lads. And recently, our friend Alan went over to Hong Kong, and he must have found a shop that was like Mandarake there, because he sent me some pictures over on WhatsApp, and he said, are any of these of interest to you? And these were for sure of interest to me. Now, I can't exactly say what they are just yet without giving it away, but basically, he came round the other day, as well as Hunter, because he'd also bought a Turgo from me. He'd again been on holiday a bit like Alan, and while he was away, he said, I don't want that Turgo delivered to my house, have it delivered to your house and I'll pick it up in person. Like I said, these guys are local lads. So last week, they both came round here, Hunter to pick up his Turgo, and Alan with a big box of toys from Hong Kong for myself, for Hunter, for Tony, and for Bentlegs as well. And yeah, it's safe to say that he brought round some absolute gold. As soon as I kind of got wind of what it was, I grabbed my camera when it got here and started rolling. What is it, mate?
Because we're always like banging on about Japanese stuff, and then
Ultraman
last
robot.
time we were talking, we were about some violence.
This is like, it's an Ultraman rolling pin. That's practical.
I mean, that's yours.
Give over.
What are yours?
One of. Whew. You better get them lips ready, brother.
They've been ready.
I mean, you know, like,
Stay ready.
They're not enough to get
Don't need to give me a
I'll
robot.
take payment, you know what I mean? 3D man.
That'll look nice with that little game we got from Game Fair.
Yeah, I've got 2 of them in them cases, haven't I? So. Oh, that's well cool. Oh, it's got some weight to it too.
Got little pieces in there.
I think these are both yours, mate.
This will look great on display.
Oh, both?
Yeah. So
Oh, mate.
I got you that. Well, that's the one you picked.
Yes.
And then I
We've
thought,
got it, sorry.
That's incredible.
I don't know, I just couldn't leave it. I just it's just not right.
Look at that, bro.
Thank you, man. You've absolutely.
Oh,
mate.
Check that. Look at colours and all.
You've gone above and beyond here.
Oh, Leopardon.
Stop it.
Yeah, man.
No way.
Spider-Man's mech. Japanese Spider-Man's mech.
Apparently this is going to make an appearance in the
Spider-Verse.
the new Spider-Verse.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently so.
It should
So
do.
there's 2 of them.
Apparently this is going to appear
I didn't
in.
buy 2. There's 2 in
Oh,
the
stop
there,
it.
man.
Got little bits in that.
Stop it.
Is that diecast as well?
Yeah.
They like a mix of both. And you see those little fists fit in his arms and fire off, they're always missing.
I love this bit. No, it's just the acknowledgement that you know whose mech it is.
Now you've all got to go home and convince your missuses that they were gifts.
Yeah.
His missus don't believe him. She's like, "There's no way Theo's giving you that. Just stop lying, Alex."
Every time I come back with something, so, oh, as if someone's giving you that, and I'm like, well, yeah.
Crosses too many
Ticks a lot
genres.
of boxes.
Yeah, it's a massive box ticker. And
These are all fire gifts, mate.
well, this
all you boys have always been there.
So as you can see, Alan brought round some amazing pieces for me and the boys. And even though everybody else's were really cool, I love the Raideen, I love the Guy King, I love the Leopardon. Obviously, I was most happy with mine, which were Barbara and Terrakilis, whatever you want to call them, both from Ultraman. So these are 90s remakes of the old Bullmark figures, and what I really like about these is that when they remade them, they did them in more vibrant colours and stuff a lot of the time, and these are exactly the kind of thing that I collect. When I go to Japan, these are what I'm looking out for, and I didn't have these in my collection. So when Alan showed me the pictures of what was in the store, the Mandarake style store, there was 4 in the picture, and I told him just pick me this one up because he was getting me these as a gift, and these are not cheap kaiju, but he actually bought me 2. So absolute legend. I was very taken back when I saw that he'd picked me up 2 of them, and with these being things that you can't just go out and buy, the only way to really acquire this stuff is either go through a specialist or actually go out to Japan and Hong Kong and that kind of thing. Like these really do mean a lot to me. I was very humbled when he brought these round, and yeah, like I said, even though I've had some really amazing stuff given to me recently and gifted and delivered to the house and that kind of thing, these are without doubt 2 of my favourite things. So between this, the House of the Dead figures, the thing that I got from Dino Riders UK, the Dino Riders Japanese variant, we've had some really amazing pieces delivered in the collection recently, as well as like the Warhammer that Jen got me and the Warhammer that Dave gave me and the stuff that I picked up from the UK Games Expo. And you can understand why I'm just enjoying being in my studio at the minute and just enjoying the stuff that I've actually got rather than having to go out and hunt for stuff all the time, because yeah, done a lot of events, done a lot of toy fairs over the last few weeks and last few months and that kind of thing, and yeah, I'm ready just now to stay in my studio for a few months and just enjoy the stuff that I've been given, and just being able to add these to my collection, to my vinyl kaiju collection. As you know, if you know me, I'm a big Sofubi collector, I'm a big fan of Japanese vinyl and stuff, so yeah, these are just 2 real prize pieces that I'm very honoured to add to the collection. So massive shouts to Alan, because yeah, he didn't need to get me 1, let alone 2, and all the other stuff that he got for the boys as well. Very generous guy, and yeah, I kind of feel like I'm in his debt now. So that's pretty much all we've got time for in today's video, but before I get off, I just wanted to let you know the winner of the recent Cuphead blind box giveaway. So as I said when I did that last studio update, I would reveal the winner of it in the next one, which is this video today. So there were so many people that entered this competition, and I just picked a name at random as I always do. But if your name is on screen right now, then congratulations, you're the winner. So if you could drop me a message over on Instagram, I'll work out how I can get your prize over to you. So with all that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Kind of a random one, as these studio vlogs sometimes are. Some pickups, a little bit of DIY progress, some painting and unboxing. But if you did get a kick out of it, then please don't forget to give it a like. And if this is your first time here at the channel and you enjoyed the vibe of the video, then consider subscribing to the channel and binging the back catalogue. I do also have a Patreon that you can join if you want to help support what I do here at Slimehouse. You can check that out over at patreon.com/SlimehouseTV. And as always, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that took the time to watch my video today. With so much other stuff on YouTube, it really means a lot when you come back here every single week and check out what I'm doing. And I really hope to catch you in the next one, which, if everything goes to plan, is going to be a big channel update with lots going on, and I'm really excited to share it all with you. So until then, I'm Theo King, this is Slimehouse TV, and I'm gone. Pow.